Welcome to European Railway issue number 80, the DVD magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this programme we visit Switzerland as we look at a recent Bahn Festival on the Rhátische Bahn. A visit to France for some loco hold action. A trip to Germany for an evening's train watching in the Rhine Valley. Austria is our next stop as we study trains and traction to the south of Salzburg. Our Lineside stopover features a French narrow gauge line in the Alps, and a visit to Hungary as we look at some freight diversions south of Budapest. The Albula and Bernina Railway lines of the Rhátische Bahn became a World Heritage Site on the 7th of July 2008. To mark the 10th anniversary, the RHB staged a spectacular railway festival on Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of June to show off its historic fleet of rolling stock to the public and enthusiasts alike. The map here shows the main locations at Samedan and Pontresina, both to the east of St. Moritz, where displays of rolling stock took place and where we filmed the events over the 2 days. The line in black on our map was the main track used, but also to a lesser extent the route west towards St. Moritz. We begin using various filming locations, some of which are included here on our maps. The section of line is fairly short, and so most of it was covered in our sequences filmed by our cameraman Maurizio Tolini, who runs the Italian railway DVD production company TG Trains. On the 9th, the largest ever parade of rolling stock was to take place, and as a prelude to this, trains throughout the day operated using the historic vehicles. Our first view is of preserved steam locomotive number 108. This 280 tender loco was built in 1906 and is currently based at Landquart. It is seen here working the 930 from Samedan to Pontresina. During the event, the line from Pontresina to St. Moritz saw normal operations for most of the day, but trains were replaced by buses during the historic parades that took place later. This service is hauled by a pair of ABE 442 railcars. Also working alongside number 108 was locomotive number 11, built by SLM in 1902. Here it heads for Pontresina with the 10 AM departure from Samedan. Number 108 was in charge of the next train, the 1030 from Samedan. Whilst number 108 made its trip to Pontresina and back, this was enough time for number 11 to run around its train. Here it heads south with the 12 o'clock special service from Samodan to Pontresina. The passenger coach number C2012, which is the second from last in this formation, dates from 1889, when it was delivered to the Landquart Davos Bahn. It became part of the RHB from 1895. From 1944 to 1996, it spent life as a workers' coach before being restored over a 3-year period when it re-entered traffic as part of the line's historic fleet in 1999. Number F4004 at the rear is a baggage car dating from 1896, with room in it for the train conductor. It was ordered for trains between Chur and Thusis. Steam traction gave way to more modern motive power at lunchtime, when the 1230 from Samodan and return was formed with a mixture of current day and older goods wagons, and a passenger coach on the front. GE 661 Crocodile locomotive number 414, built in 1929, provides the traction. Participants await the arrival of the next highlight, the pairing up of number 11 and number 108, on the 1400 service from Samodan. Number 353 was in charge of this superb rake of Alpine Pullman and Bernina Express stock, whilst working the 1530 from Samodan. The first vehicle is D4051, a baggage car dating from 1931. Second is Downing car WR3812 from 1930. Third is saloon car number AS1141, dating from 1931. Fourth is piano bar coach number 3820, dating from 1928, and finally AS1161 from 1929. The station at Pontresina was the main focus for the event and attracted large crowds. Here number 414 departs with the 1550 to Samodan. The front coach is 1932 built number 2246, originally built for the Chur to Arosa line, and it is one of 3 of the type that survive on the railway. In the nearby tents there were stalls offering participants as many goodies as they could buy and carry, as well as some free musical entertainment to help them relax. Our cameraman positioned himself just to the north of the station in preparation for the historic parade. Service trains were still running and the crowds were beginning to gather. Number 353 arrives with a shuttle from Saint-Médard. Arriving to take their part in the parade were numbers 108, 11 and Steam Snowblower number Xrotd 9213. Locos were then positioned ready for the main event. This is the first train in this special Zug parade, as number 11 heads towards Saint-Médard with this mixed rake. We've mentioned the first two vehicles already, but the third is an high-sided open goods wagon dating from 1911, and the fourth is a covered two-axle freight car built in 1913. Next to appear was number 108. The stock used was 1903 vintage number B2060, then luxury first class coach number A1102 dating from 1903, a first and second class coach with mini buffet number B2138, also from 1903. Then along came two-axle luggage van number D4052 from 1913, then Postwagen number Z26, built in 1909, and finally covered two-axle freight wagon number K15563, dating from 1931.
Der nächste Zug Nummer 2 ist eine Komposition aus der Belle Époque, der Albula-Schnellzug von 1913. Nach Eröffnung der Albula Bahn 1903 wurden von der RHB zwischen 1904 und 1915 29
Next came number 353 on the Alpine Pullman and Bernina Express stock. Built in 1903 by the Schweizerische Lokomotiv- und Maschinenfabrik at Winterthur, this snowplough is being propelled by GE24 number 222, dating from 1913. Railcars were let through on a service from St. Moritz to Tirano. An older railcar was the next to be seen, as ABE44 number 501, dating from 1939, drops down the grade with B2032 and A1251 in tow. Both coaches were built to work with this type of railcar. The unit was rebuilt by the railway between 1983 and 1984. Next it was the turn of number 414. Locomotive 605 and number 702 are both still part of the Rhátische Bahn's active fleet. Here they haul cement wagons, which were built for use on the line between 1956 and 1964. Number 605 is one of just a handful of locos left in traffic to haul spoil trains from the new Albula tunnel. The loco dates from 1947, but has been extensively modernised. Number 702 is a GE66 and part of an active fleet that are mainly used on freight services. Number 702 was built in 1958. Next is classmate number 704, hauling stock that is currently still in service, but is set to be replaced by the 36 new Capricorn electric multiple units currently on order from Stadler. The parade continues with electric loco number 611, hauling brown covered van number X9069, built in 1903, and is representative of a type of wagon used extensively on narrow gauge lines in Switzerland, such as the Appenzeller Bahn and the Bahn, for example. Then comes flat wagon number P10059, and finally P10070, a tank wagon dating from 1926. Next, it was the 1000-volt DC stock that appeared on the line to St. Moritz. First to come along was unit number 30 and matching stock. It was built in 1911 for operating services on the Bernina Bahn. On the rear is a paired wagon, number 1513 and 1520, used for carrying timber and date from 1906. Next we see number 182, one of two of the class still active in preservation. Built in 1928, it heads these wagons for St. Moritz. Number 46 is one of the newer ABE 44 railcars that were used on the Bernina Bahn before the introduction of the new Allegri units. Dating from 1965, the unit is now in reserve and part of the historic fleet. Events continued into the following day, with one of the highlights being the snowblower coupled together with number 11, which did a Pontresina, St. Moritz, Samadan to Pontresina move. Another highlight was the pairing of number 222 and 353 on one of the shuttle trains. Finally, we conclude this section with the snowblower and number 11, returning towards Pontresina on the line from Samadan. We now travel to France and to a line we've covered a few times in the past, but is one of the best places to see loco hauled operations in the country. However, all this is set to change soon, with new multiple units on the horizon. Our locations are around Chevilly, not far from the major city of Orléans. We chose the town station as our starting off point, where a convenient footbridge offers some good views of the line, before we move down onto the platforms. It is early in the morning of the 1st of August 2017. Heading north with the 0626 from Orléans to Paris is 7256. It has just overtaken number 7275, which is working the 0624 stopping service from Orléans to Paris. As number 7275 departs the station, light engine 60117 passes by heading south for Orléans. Freight traffic along this line is much reduced compared to years gone by, so a Monday morning freight was to be savoured in more ways than one. Here 27136 and 111 head south on pressurised tanks. 27136 was introduced into traffic on the 29th of December 2004, whilst number 111 arrived on the 29th of November 2003. Both are now in the AKM hire pool. "17 minutes after the freight, and 7302 slows for the station stop, with the 0552 from Paris to Orléans. 7302 was brought into traffic on the 18th of November 1980, so was almost 37 years old when this film was taken. It remains in traffic today, undertaking similar duties. "26047 is next to appear, racing north with the 0658 from Orléans to Paris. The dreaded introduction of new Coradia liner intercity train sets will have a devastating effect on local hauled operations along this line in a year or so's time. Here E4033 is seen hauling set numbers 21 and 22, probably bound for Nantes, where they were to be introduced on services down to Bordeaux. "77 BB 26,000 locomotives remain in traffic in their original orange livery, including this one, number 26161, seen heading south hauling the 0641 Paris to Toulouse. Sister locomotive number 162 was placed into service on the 12th of September 1994 and is seen here powering north with the 0620 from Tours to Paris. This is a good line on which to see the BB 26000s in operation. Here is number 054 heading the 728 from Orléans to Paris. We now move north around 2 kilometres to this location shown here on our map. 26026 is the next loco to be seen, with the 0649 from Bourges to Paris. With the town of Artenay in the background, number 7204 heads south with one of the infrequent stopping services that use this route. This train is the 0652 from Paris Austerlitz to Orléans. Next to show, some 10 minutes later, was 66123 on southbound fuel tanks, probably from the port of Le Havre. Heading north with the slightly late running 0739 from Orléans to Paris is number 7242. Currently it is in the En Voyage livery. The loco previously wore the green freight livery. It entered service on the 6th of September 1978 and is still active in the area. (26051) is working the 0501 from Brive to Paris. Next comes 26029. A change of location now, and we are just north of Artenay, where locations again provide good views of the open line. Adjacent to the tracks here is what remains of the Aerotrain test track, which was abandoned as long ago as 1977. Small platforms at each end of the 18-kilometre route allowed trains to reverse. Speeds of up to 250 miles per hour were allowed. Approaching through the heat haze is the classic outline of locomotive number 7230, hauling the 0826 from Paris to Orléans. DB22200 electrics are very rare on this line. We think 22334 seen here is on what is probably the stock of the previous night's La Tour de Carreau to Paris sleeper service. This is the 0605 from Brive to Paris with 26158 on point. Number 26056 returns north with the 928 from Orléans to Paris. The agro-distribution work, seen here on the right, processes many local crops, including sugar beet and grain. Rail-connected sidings see a small amount of traffic. Number 7306 is next to be seen, heading through the heat haze with an empty stock working for Orléans. Between 0640 and 1140, we've filmed nearly 30 locomotive haul trains on this line, and that doesn't include others we missed when we were moving locations. So it's well worth a visit. Number 26024 in the all-over Ghost livery heads north with the 0702 departure from Brive. Finally, it is the turn of 26073 to pass by, heading the 1131 from Orléans to Paris. We are always getting asked to show trains in the Rhine Valley, and so it is to Germany that we travel next to look at a typical evening's action from the town of Kaub, on the route between Koblenz and Rüdesheim. Our map shows the town's location and our filming position on the western side of the station. Heading north are MRCE Disperlock hire locos numbers 182509 and 518, both belonging to the Siemens Taurus family of locos. Local passenger services are operated by VIAS and work to an hourly timetable between Neuwied and Frankfurt, also known as the Rheingau network. Class 427 and Class 428 Flirt electric units are the main train types to be seen. (185.045) heads north with this short freight. Ten minutes later and 152.076 heads south. As darkness begins to fall, 185.661 heads south on this Hamburg to Verona Porta Nuova motorrail service. The date is the 28th of July 2017. Beacon Rail Leasing has 185.503 on its books. The Cap Train liveried Class 185 received these colours in late 2015. The loco was first put into service on the 20th of December 2001 and is now 17 years old. How time flies. The mosquitoes were beginning to appear by the time 428136 arrived with a train from Frankfurt to Neuwied. Next to appear was 186338, currently on hire to DB Netherlands, and is seen on this freight bound for Gremberg Yard. 186268 had only been in service for 3 months when this film was taken. It was hired to Crossrail Benelux at the time. Another Class 186, in the shape of rail pools number 296. It is passed by a Class 482. It's exactly 10 o'clock now, and 185677 is in charge of this intermodal working from Italy. Freight trains were around 5 per hour during this time of the day. Container and intermodal trains make up the majority of freight services seen. This one is powered north by ES64F4 106. Northbound and southbound passenger services call at this station within a couple of minutes of each other, with services finishing close to midnight. Of course, it's not just this side of the river that trains can be seen, it's also on the other side. This ICE unit heads north. There is a small maintenance depot on the far right of this picture for the Class 427 and 428 units that operate the local passenger trains. 185065 heads this mixed freight north at 2211. One 185-346 heads south with a mixed freight for Mannheim. It's 185347 that we see next, as it heads this southbound freight bound for Nuremberg off into the night. This line is always a good one to visit, and makes a great alternative to all that fun and laughter with great food and beer to be had in the local hostelries. Or maybe not. In this section we travel to Austria for a look at traffic on the main line to the south of Salzburg, close to the border with Germany. Our map here shows the main filming locations, with the actual section of line covered shown here in black. We begin in the north, close to the town of Kukel, before moving south to two more locations towards the station at Golling-Abtenau. This often overlooked line is fenced in with sound barriers until several kilometres to the south of the city of Salzburg. We begin here at Kukel, as German Class 101, number 129 heads south, with the 0615 from Salzburg to Graz. The early bird catches the worm, so they say, and the same can be said of catching this train in action. Number 11616261 is on train EN 294, the overnight sleeper train from Rome to München. Moving just north of Golling an der Salzach station, and 1144266 propels the 0520 from Saalfeld to Freilassing. Private freight company Cargo Serve operate a daily steel train from Linz Steelworks to Tarviso and return. Here the return empties are powered by 1216 931 and 933. This is the station at Golling as 1116157 arrives with the 0550 from Saarfelden to Vienna railjet service. Freight services were difficult to quantify, but you can expect around 2 each way per hour. Heading north on this container train is 1116183. We undertook filming for this section in the summer of 2017 and again in 2018. On the 21st of July 2017, number 1144067 forms the 0708 from Salzburg to Würgl. Since then, these services have been taken over by new Class 4746 CityJet electric units. Other local services are operated by Class 4024 electric units. This is 4024015. Heading for Bischofshofen is 2070019 at just after 8 am, with this trip working down from Salzburg. To the south, the line passes through a narrow gorge made by the Salzach River, with a map here showing our location. The line was constructed as a single-track entity between 1872 and 1875 and named the Salzburg-Tyrol Railway. It was double-tracked by 1915 and electrified between 1925 and 1930. Here 1144-265 heads north with a service from Würgl. The next major town is at Tennock, shown here on our map. Not far from the station, there are exchange sidings for the ESW factory just across the river. Number 1116225 powers a railjet service from Linz to Klagenfurt. This is the view from the station platforms, as 101061 powers at the rear of this the 0545 from Graz to Frankfurt. One 151018, now with Logistics Haulier Locomotion, was a pleasant surprise. Here it heads south at just after 9:15. From the opposite platform we get this view of number 1116269 heading south. (11:44:265) returns with the 0908 service from Salzburg to Wörgl. We move south again now and to Werfen, where we chose two locations either side of the station. Werfen is the site of the Hohenwerfen Castle, which was built between 1075 and 1078 and overlooks the town. The castle is a twin to the one situated at Salzburg, both built by the Archbishops of Salzburg. The area is surrounded by the Berchtesgaden Alps and the Tennen Mountains, seen here. 11:44:124 arrives from the south, with a service from Wörgl. We've mentioned already that these services have now been taken over by the CityJet units, so here we have one forming a similar working on the 8th of July 2018. We didn't follow the train out of the station because the lens was being hit by rain. Train EC113 is the 1217 from München to Klagenfurt and is powered here by 1116092. Just south of the station, a road overbridge offers this superb vista of trains rounding the curve, with the Hohenwerfen Castle as a backdrop. Our final two locations in this section are near to Pfarrwerfen and just north of Bischofshofen. We begin at Pfarrwerfen, as this 4024 unit heads south with a local. Cargo serves 1216-932 heads train GAG 47215 from Linz to Tarviso. In the centre of the train is another class 1216. This loaded steel train is split at St. Johann for the run up the Tauern Pass line to the summit, due to weight restrictions. Our final location is just north of Bischofshofen, in a park just north of the station. First on the scene is a Class 4024 unit, number 108, heading a southbound local service for St. Johann. Behind the camera is the single-track route from Selztal. Seen heading down the grade is this Class 1016 on train EC164, the 945 from Graz to Zurich. Finally, it is 1116225 that heads past the camera on the rear of the 0855 railjet service from Vienna to Klagenfurt. The set promotes the Austrian Football Association and was unveiled in Vienna on the 8th of June 2015. The Saint-Gervais-Vallorcine line is a 36.5 km long single-track meter gauge line close to the France-Swiss border, running through Chamonix in southeast France. The line is rack-fitted and electrified at 850 volts DC, with power collected via a top contact third rail. The line connects with the Swiss Martigny-Châtelard railway, with through workings on some services. We called into the station at Vallorcine on Monday the 16th of July 2018 to check out the action. Services are operated by a mixture of 2 and 3 car electric units of types Z800 and Z850, the line still being operated by SNCF. It is usually the type Z800 that are seen in this location. It is number 22 that we see dropping down the grade with a service from Chamonix to Martigny. In the opposite direction we see unit number 1, and it arrives with the 1146 from Martigny. The Class Z800 also have a pantograph to enable power to be collected from the overhead on the run down to Martigny. They also have 5 types of brakes: electro-pneumatic, tread brakes, electromagnetic, rheostatic, rack and regenerative. The line also has the steepest stretch of rack railway in the world, with a gradient of 9% or 1 in 11. The units date from 1996 and 1997. A cable car runs up to the slopes of the nearby Poussette mountain. There was a heightened level of excitement in Hungary over the summer, as long-term engineering work meant that a number of freight trains were diverted onto what is normally a quiet cross-country line to the south of the capital, Budapest. The line shown here in red on our map was undergoing a long-term rebuilding programme, which meant that no rail traffic could use the tracks from February 2018 onwards. Normally, freight trains would use this stretch of line, shown here in blue, to access 2 major chemical and steel works just to the west of the River Danube. The work is scheduled to finish in the spring of 2019. The main diversionary routes set up as a consequence are shown here in black, and so avoiding the area. It is just one part of this route, also indicated on our map, that we shall concentrate our filming on. The main route covered was between Székesfehérvár and Pusztaszoborz, and at the junction station at Burgún. Burgún is a favourite place for photographers drawn to the area, and the map here shows the various locations used during our visit. We begin on the evening of the 3rd of July 2018, as Class M62 diesel number 628265 restarts this diverted evening freight north towards Székesfehérvár. The train will have come from the oil refinery at Dunai Finomito. The line to the right goes to Szabadbattyán, but was not used during our visit. The following morning, the same loco arrives at the station with reinforced concrete beams. Due to congestion in the yard at Székesfehérvár, the train would spend 90 minutes here awaiting a suitable path, something which was commonplace during our visit. The bridge beams are going to Kunzent-Márton to build the M44 motorway at Bagi Major. Locomotive 774714 was built by CZ Loco for its own lease fleet, but also for demonstration and type approval purposes. In May 2017 it was announced that the locomotive had been sold to CER Cargo, based here in Hungary. The type is a heavy rebuild version of former Czech Class 770, 771 or CME 742 locos. As can be seen, the station area is controlled by semaphore signals, with the red and white side intended to face the train given authority. (628-203) heads a string of loaded box wagons, probably loaded with steel slab, bound for the steelworks at Dunafjordvár. Over a dozen extra Class M62 or Class 628 diesels were drafted in to work off Székesfehérvár shed to haul the diverted trains. Here is 628191 on another train bound for Dunafuldvar. Having finally got a clear road, number 265 heads off north. Note the stainless steel band underneath the cab windows, and the sticker celebrating 50 years of the class, which was celebrated on the 31st of May 2015 at Ferencváros. The Class 628 diesels so far seen are from the original Soviet-built Class 628.0 series, introduced in 1965, and with their original two-stroke Kolomna engine. The Class 628 Series 3, which are also in operation, are a rebuilt example with a new engine dating from 2000 onwards. Number 301, 303 and 304 received MTU engines, whilst the rest received Caterpillar engines. In Hungary, the locomotives are nicknamed Xrotd or Zergay, which is derived from a popular Russian name. Now this is a bit more familiar to British fans. Ex-British Rail Class 56, formerly 56101, now Floyd 659001, is one of three of the class to be found in Hungary. Here it heads east with a set of tanks. Moving to the other end of the station and we see 628203. Freight trains through here were quite frequent in the morning, then a lull before lunchtime, and then it was quiet until early evening. However, this is very dependent on what day of the week it is. If you visit before spring 2019, do be prepared for a wait, anything up to 3 hours. Or you can check out the webpage coming up on the screen very shortly. We now move east to Pustasserbolch, with our camera positioned next to the level crossing to the south of the station. The line on the bottom left goes to Bergun and Sikeshvihirvar, the centre line is the main route to Pates, and the line on the bottom right goes off towards the steelworks at Dunnerfuldvar. Having dropped off its train, number 628191 makes a smoky exit, heading south for Scharburgard. This is M431001. As well as traditional rail traction on view, there was also some traditional road traction on offer. (628-330) is one of the series fitted with a new Caterpillar engine. This line also sees regular local passenger services, and these are formed of Class 415 Stadler Flirt electric multiple units. The diverted freight bound for the steelworks at Dunnerfuldvar are normally taken forward by electric locos, including this view of Rail Cargo Hungary's 1116014. Also awaiting a suitable path south was MAV Cargo's Class 630 electric, number 016. Translog Slovakia have gone into painting their locos in this very different but rather wonderful paint scheme. This is their 742087 heading for Dunai Finomito. We conclude our look at the freight diverts by returning to the junction at Burgun as 628203 rolls into view whilst heading east light engine bound for Pusztasabolcs. M43101 seems to have little in the way of freight to haul as it returns east light engine. (628-191) has come up on the line from Scharburgard, with this evening freight including Class 431 electric, number 149, dead in train. Ticking over in the station was 628151 with cement empties from Xrotd. It was over an hour before 628191 returned south with a train bound for Dunnerfuldvar. This then freed up suitable siding space in the yard at Sikesh Vihirvar. As number 151 disappears off into the sunset, we hope that you have enjoyed watching this edition of European Railway.